everybody, and welcome back to Between the Distance. I'm going to adjust this just a little. This is episode or podcast number 6. I mustache you a question, and no, I will not shave it for later. So, the theme of this podcast is we're going to ask each other questions. We've written down a few questions for each other, and we've got to answer them honestly. So Connor didn't want to do hard-hitting questions.
I did not open my drink before the podcast, so I'm going to do that quickly now.
I'm pretty sure I left my juice in the kitchen, but it's fine.
You can have some of mine if you want.
You
can have some of mine if you want.
Your juice?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You can have, well, I just said this, but obviously you can't drink energy drinks.
Yeah, I can't do that. Not anymore. So yeah, we've wrote a list of questions that we are going to ask each other. We're going to answer them. We're going to have discussions. And yeah, that's how we're going to do mustachio question.
I think there's 15 questions in total, because I've still got 7, you've got 8.
Yeah, you still
so that works
figure
at
out your
4 minutes a question.
Yeah. So, I've wrote mine on my phone.
Same?
Yep. So
what order do we need to go in for you to not ask 2 in a row? It would be you first, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, question number 1. What is your favorite memory with me in person and long distance?
Okay. Now I have this whole thing where the hamster needs to spin up. I think for the in-person, the day we first met in person is maybe a bit too much of a generic answer. I know it was a very hot day, but I did really like the day that we went to the Eiffel Tower. Obviously not everything turned out as we wanted, and it doesn't exactly look like it did when I was a kid, or like everyone else sees it in the movies and stuff, because of the work going on with it at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, just something about sitting on some grass next to it and just...
I feel like we were sitting on sand with tiny little grass.
Yeah.
But it was nice. I enjoyed being able to see it, because it's
one of those things
dreams.
That's just a little bit surreal though, when you don't look at it in a few minutes and then you realise holy shit, we're, excuse the swear word, but we're literally sat right next to the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
It's some people's dream to see that, and I was just like, oh, I get to see it, and it's not the one in Vegas.
Yeah.
So that was a really good day. And even though it was excruciatingly hot, at least our hotel room had air conditioning, and we turned that thing way up. So, and it had a pool, so if I was like, it's too hot, I'm gonna go to the pool. Yeah, pools are a must when I have a hotel room. Gotta have a pool. Sorry. Okay, so long distance.
Long distance. Okay. It's not really a specific moment, so I don't know if that's a cop-out. But it was being able to, when we got the show and I was in the house on my own, being able to fall asleep with you there.
Yeah.
It was just a very comforting kind of thing, considering the house was freezing cold and I was completely on my own and stuff. It kind of sucked.
And you kept my whole house awake.
Yeah.
My mom could hear you snoring. She thought it was me, and then she realized, no, that's you. Yeah. I wish she would have recorded it so that you could see exactly how bad you are, to the point my mother can hear you in a totally different room.
Are we going to do a thing where we both answer each other's questions, or... I mean,
we can.
That would help,
yeah.
pad things out a bit.
So, I think my favorite memory with you in person, even though it was a bad day,
Hmm.
was officially being on our own.
Hmm.
Like leaving.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah. So even though we were with Matt and Abby, I felt like I could breathe.
Yeah.
So it was really good to just be being able to like just be us. Like
Yeah.
no middle person, no other opinions, no stress. Like even though it was a stressful time, at least at Matt and Abby's, it was easier to breathe.
Yeah.
So that even though it was a bad day, but it was good to be able to just experience us as a couple
Hmm.
without somebody else or being controlled in a certain way.
Yeah.
So that was a good day for me. Like it was very liberating.
Hmm.
Um but also like finding our first home even though the house was crap.
Yeah.
But I was so excited because I was like, it's our first house. It's our first house. Yes. You know? And it's like, it's a house. It's mine. I got to like this place of being able to live on my own in my own home in a different country. Like, goals. So it was good to experience that with you. Um, as far as like the best memory in long distance, um, let me think. That's gonna be a difficult one. I think being able to just take you in the car with me.
That was really nice.
Yeah, when I would drive around with doing DoorDash, or when I wasn't doing DoorDash and you wanted to kind of see some parts of the city,
Yeah.
I could put you up on my dashboard with my little holder, and just being able to drive around and talk to you while I'm driving, and being like, "Oh, this is this, and this is this," and like that was cool.
I do look forward to being able to go on drives together.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be so much better when we're in Texas, because I can drive and I'm not scared and I'm not nervous,
Yeah.
and I know what I'm doing, and
Don't
I'm not
suddenly have
afraid
a
that I'm gonna
panic
get a
attack that
ticket
you're
because
on
I've
the
done
wrong
something wrong.
side of the road or something.
Yeah, but I think it's the biggest part of me like being afraid that I'm gonna get a ticket because everything is so different that I feel
Yeah.
like I'm gonna do something wrong and then it's gonna show up on my visa application that I've
Yeah.
gotten a driving ticket. So
Because
that's
driving tickets aren't that serious here.
yeah,
It's just that, like with visas and stuff, they are very picky.
yeah.
Like if I had a criminal record of any kind, it would have been impossible for us to go back to the US.
Yeah, and it even made me nervous, like doing my visa, just telling them about the tickets that I had in the U.S.
Yeah.
Like even
They
though
were all a really long time ago, though.
one was in 2022, I had a
Well, yeah.
speeding ticket, but yeah, before that, the last one I had was in 2014, and then I had the previous one in 2012.
Hmm.
So it's been a long time since I had a ticket. That speeding ticket, oh my gosh, I was a wreck. Because I was like, I haven't had a ticket in so long. I'm so sorry. I was just trying to deliver food. like, you know? So, but yeah. That is it for my first question. What's yours?
What was the first thing you thought about when you met me in person?
You had the prettiest blue eyes.
Uh,
You did. You had
did. So
Well,
no
you
anymore.
do. You still do. But I mean, like, I feel like that's a core memory.
Mm,
Like, I can still see it just like, as if it was happening. But yeah,
yeah.
you had the prettiest blue eyes. And you were really nice to hug. So, yeah, cuz, your mom wanted me to show me the house, wanted me to meet the dogs and all that stuff, and I'm just like, I have somebody really important that I need to meet. I can meet all of these other things
Yeah.
like later. So yeah, I just remember I was really nervous going up the stairs, and then it just was like, fuck it, sorry, the f bomb. So yeah, and it's like, oh my god, it was great. Yeah, you just had the prettiest blue eyes, and you were the best to hug. So what was yours for me?
Um, my brain kind of shut down when you came through the door up until you came over and hugged me. And then the main first thing I noticed was like the perfume that you were wearing.
Oh yeah.
I still like that. It
I had
just
to
sucks
like
that we.
douse myself in that because I smelled so badly
You
at the airport.
didn't.
I did. I took a hoe bath in Dublin. When they finally like let me out of the glass box, I went to the sink in the bathroom because I was like, I smell like airport. I stink. I've been sweating in that airplane. So yeah, I took like a little hoe bath and sprayed myself down. Yeah.
But
So
that's the one that you can't get here, isn't it? Because it was
Bath and
like,
Body
yeah,
Works. Yeah.
you're gonna have to get that again when we go
Some
over
people
there.
do sell it on Amazon, but they want so much
Mhm.
for it because it's imported. They've actually gone to the U.S., got it, and then brought it back.
Yeah.
So you know. Okay. What is something?
Um,
What is it?
no one driving you crazy and having your own space.
Yeah, who said that?
Your mum.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I feel so much better here. I felt even though our house was bad, I felt better in our own home.
Yeah.
And and now that we're here in this house and it seems so much better,
Hmm.
and it's, I like that our house was bigger, we had more space, but it was almost too big,
It was.
and I didn't have the things to decorate it. It felt bare.
Very old style house with super tall ceilings as
Yeah.
well.
So
So not only was it badly insulated, but it was just really hard to keep warm as well anyway.
yeah,
Um,
but I'm a huge decorator too.
yeah.
I like to decorate my home. It makes me feel better, makes me
Hmm.
feel more at home, especially because this is home, but I have another home.
Yeah.
And adjusting and not being able to really decorate my house the way I wanted to because there was leaks or mold, or there just wasn't enough room. I didn't want to put anything on the walls that could damage it or cause the mold to get worse. It was just really depressing. I
Yeah.
liked that we were in our own home and that nobody else could control us and tell us what to do, but I like being here better.
Hmm.
My house feels better because I can decorate the way I
Yeah.
want to. There's enough room here, but there's not too much. So it feels homey.
Even temperature aside, I'm a lot more comfortable here.
Yeah.
Um, it just feels more secure
Yeah.
because we sort of, yeah, it wasn't like life-threateningly bad early on, but we sort of realised very quickly that it wasn't going to be a permanent, stable
Yeah.
living situation.
Which was
Um,
sad because we got Charlie, and I wanted to be able, even though we had a small garden, I wanted to be able to put some turf down and everything. A small place that if he wanted to go outside,
yeah, we could have
he
just left the back door
just
open.
left the door open and he could go
Yeah,
when he wanted. But it just, he was small and I didn't want him to get sick.
yeah,
We were taking him to the vet and everything. He's got all his shots. It wasn't that. It was just the fact that, like, it was cold and he had to sleep with a hot water bottle. He got to the point where he started to chew the hot water bottle, and he had blankets in there, blankets on top. Like, yeah. So it was a nice first house, and we learned a lot of things with it, but it just wasn't the house for us.
the chat's not showing up for me because I minimised the app. Yeah, no worries if anything happening at 3 in the morning. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, what is something I do that makes you smile?
Hmm. There's a lot.
Oh gosh.
Um, I don't know, because we talked about on the last podcast about how you are like a very, like, wanting your own space type person. It's usually things where you do stray out of that.
Mm,
Um, like, if you initiate a hug, or you just want to come and sit with me. Um, Especially like when you make us dinner and we sit down and do something together. Like, I don't know, it's those kind of things, and something I did touch on in that one as well. Is the rare occasions where you do kind of just randomly in the middle of the night decide to like give me a bit of a cuddle.
yeah.
Yeah.
There are sometimes during the day where I'm like, I really want to go give him a hug, but you're at work. And then by the time you get off work, the feeling is gone.
You could send me a message and sneak in when I'm like in between doing things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, I want to cuddle, and then the feeling's gone. Get off work because I've done entertained myself or fallen asleep. I'm just like, yeah,
I just guess because you are a person who wants their own space so much, I appreciate those times even more
yeah.
when you're more open.
I guess it's just because I've just gotten older, and I
Mm,
used to be affectionate. I used to want time with my partner when I had one, and then I just wouldn't get it. I wouldn't
mm,
get it, and I got tired of trying to force them to give
yeah.
it. So I eventually just got comfortable being on my own and being in my own space. It was more peaceful
Hmm.
rather than fighting with somebody else.
Yeah.
So I would rather have been by myself and just been that way. So now I just am that way. I just prefer to have my own space and be by myself. I like having a partner. I'm just an independent person that likes to do my own thing most of the time. Um
Are you gonna answer that one for yourself?
so when you let loose and act goofy
Ah.
because you're so serious sometimes.
But there are times where I do try and joke around about things, and you think I'm still being serious,
Because that's the way you say
and
it.
sometimes take it seriously, which, depending on the context of the situation, can be quite negative. So then that sometimes worries me about it. Like, if you're in an already goofy mood, then I feel more comfortable. But if you're usually the one who breaks like the serious tension and makes things goofy, because when you are serious and I try to be the non-serious person, you don't seem to pick up on the fact that I'm not being serious.
I guess that's the way you
Um,
say it.
but it's just my voice though.
Yeah, because you don't know how to be goofy, like in a goofy way. You say it seriously and then go, "Oh, I'm just joking," and I'm like,
Uh,
"Well, say it like you're joking, rather than
to me,
so
hearing my
serious."
own voice though, there is a difference. Even though you hearing it, there's maybe only like a 5% difference.
Yeah, but sometimes when you are joking, I sometimes think you're serious, and then it pisses me
That's
off.
what I mean. So if I try and be the joking, goofy person while you're in the serious mood,
Yeah.
then yeah, for some reason, if you close the app and then go back to it, it doesn't show the chat, or does it for you now? Oh, you signed into the account.
Yeah.
That's why then.
My mom said he better loosen up when he comes here. We are a goofy bunch.
But I do though.
Sometimes you say it so seriously that it's hard for me to think you are joking. And then
Mm,
when you tell me that you're joking, I think to me it's just a way out of me like trying to make sure that I'm not mad. Yeah, that's the
no,
way I take it sometimes.
I'm really not that kind of person where like I pretend I'm saying something jokingly just because I really wanted to say it. Um, I don't put that
I'll
much
do
thought.
that to some people.
I don't put that much thought into things.
I'll do that to some people because if you try to tell it to them seriously, then it causes an argument.
Mm,
But if you try to tell it to them in a joking way, you can kind of gauge how they're going to react to it.
yeah.
And then if they react badly, just come back with, I'm just joking.
No, but for me, if I'm saying something fairly silly and I say it's a joke, it is a joke. It's never like a, oh, haha, joking. Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't it your turn?
Yes, it is. Might be something we've technically covered before, but just as like a condensed answer, I suppose. Um, what was your first impression of the UK and how has it changed?
It's cold. It was nice. Because when I got on the plane in Texas, it was hot in May already.
Yeah.
Like, just walking from the parking lot to
want to give them a bit of culture and feed them some southern food. I'm fine with that.
But just walking from the parking lot to into the airport, me and my mom were sweating. It was hot. And then the moment I stepped off the plane in Dublin, even though it's not part of the UK, it's still, in the same like
Yeah.
weather region. The moment I stepped off the plane in Dublin, I was like, what is nice.
Mm.
It was cold. And I was like, oh, yes, thank God. Because I am a person that likes cold and chilly fall weather. So that was my first impression of the UK.
Yeah. I obviously don't have an answer I can give for that yet, as the reverse.
Yeah.
So I was just going to very quickly point on British food is joked about being very bland, but what a lot of people don't realise, which you should have started to realise by now, is that a lot of British people don't eat British food.
Mhm.
Like, you have to imagine that, yeah, you guys have other cultures in the US, but aside from South America, any other culture coming to the US has to like travel across a long distance, whereas we have all of Europe right next to us, and because previously, and unfortunately no longer, we were in the EU, free movement of people
Yep.
just meant that, and that this is something you pointed out when you first got here, because you're absolutely shocked, is that on every corner there is a different kind of takeout restaurant from a completely different culture. So yeah, we have Chinese, but we also have Turkish,
An Indian.
standard Italian, Indian. There's too much for me to list off because,
But all of them do
yeah.
pizza.
Well, yeah,
And garlic bread.
yeah.
That's like the one thing they
And a
have
lot
in
of them do
common.
kebabs because those are kind of like drunken foods. Um, but yeah, I think that's the one thing that would probably is that that's still the same message. That's probably the one thing that will shock your mum is the availability of so much different food.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And how easy it is to walk to places that you want to get
yeah,
without
true.
having to get into a car.
Yeah,
Yeah. So that's going to be a new culture shock
you
for
want
them.
like a pack of cigarettes or a drink, you walk to the bottom of the street.
Yeah.
Less than 5 minutes, even for me on crutches.
Yeah.
Like
Need to go to the doctor? Walk down to the end of
around
the
the
street.
corner, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah. Anything that you could ever want. Need your prescriptions? Walk down to the end of the street. Like it's
yep.
right there. So that's gonna be a culture shock for them too, is to see how close we are, housing wise, because we
Mhm.
share walls with
Of
each other,
course, yeah.
and then all the food options, how close things are by foot. You know, it's gonna be really interesting.
Mhm.
I can't wait. I can't wait because I'm like, let me show you. It's a whole new world.
I feel like they're probably gonna want to order like a different kind of takeout every single
Oh
night.
yeah, but my mom wants to cook too. She
Mm.
really wants to see the grocery stores.
Mhm.
So she's like, I want to go to Tesco. She really wants to go to Asda because
It's
Asda's
owned by Walmart.
Walmart.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like
I don't think it
my
was
mom knows what we're
always
talking
owned by
about, but
Walmart though.
huh?
I don't think it was always owned by
No, it
Walmart
wasn't.
though.
But my mom knows what I'm talking about. We have a brand called George.
Mhm.
So it's like George Home, George Clothes, and Asda has that. That's their main like
Yeah.
clothing and home brand. So
Mhm.
that's a similarity that they have with Walmart. That's off the bat, like you can see
Yeah.
it. So she wants to be able to cook and see things. I think she's going to be really shocked by our oven because it's very tiny. It's very
But
small.
not all ovens in the UK are like that.
No, because
It's
our
just that
stovetop over at Rydell Street
it's quite big.
was
Yeah.
normal. But
I think
like
they
in
just intentionally
apartments,
got a small cooker because we're in a small
yeah.
space.
So in an apartment, usually they're the tiny ones. So I think she's gonna be really shocked by that. She's gonna look at it and go, "What am I supposed to fit in there?"
Yeah.
So, is it my turn or your turn?
Your turn.
Oh, okay. Um, hmm. Is there anything you would have done differently regarding our relationship?
Mm. I wish we had both been in a place where we had been able to meet in person at a much younger age.
Yeah.
Um, but even had we still been together at 18, it would have been impossible.
Yeah.
Um,
Very
just
unrealistic.
financially, completely impossible. Even though flights used to be a bit cheaper back then, I just flat out didn't have money. My first sort of real taste of having money was student loans. Um, and that didn't happen until I was like 21.
Yeah.
So it would have been a very long time to continue on long distance, but at the same time, if there was some way we could have figured it out financially,
Yeah.
I would have liked to meet you a lot sooner.
Yeah, my first real taste of money was at 17 when I worked for KFC. That
Mm.
was my very first job.
See, that's the thing. From the age of 16, I wanted to work.
Yeah.
Um, but there are just no part-time jobs that would have taken someone who was disabled, and I know that, at least in my previous local area, because we had to do work experience in high school, and 90+% of the time you had to place yourself. So I went to the Strand, into every single shop,
Yeah.
and asked. Like, I started optimistic at the places I wanted to work. You know, like at the time it used to be Game and Game Station. I tried both of them. There was another shop around the corner called Granger Games. That CEX wasn't there because that used to be Game.
Yeah.
And then Game, the location that's in now, used to be Game Station. The Butchers is actually where Granger Games used to be, so that doesn't even exist anymore. But yeah, I started optimistic with those. I went down to other places like, the little shops in the Strand, like the corner style shops in the Strand. Because like, oh, I could probably sit on a stool behind the till or something like that. No, 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 no. And eventually landed in a shoe shop. And while
I
they did
remember when you had
take
to
me
do
on
that.
for work experience, they wouldn't have took me on for a full-time job. And I don't think I'd have coped because it was a very physically demanding job on me legs.
Yeah.
Like, I actually had to help in the mornings offloading the stock off like the lorry or like van. Then I had to go up to the stock room. Obviously, if anyone asks, "Oh, do you have these in a size X or whatever?" They didn't give me any special treatment.
Yeah.
I had to go up the stairs. Every time we had a break, the break room was up a set of stairs. Um, so yeah, it it wasn't great. So I knew really I had no hope of getting a job until I was a bit older and I'd be able to work like an office job.
Mm.
Um, and by that point, I was in like higher education, as we call it. And mentally, that was already taking quite a toll on me.
Yeah.
So I I didn't have, as a very introverted person who had to go sit around hundreds of people every day and stuff. I did not have it in me to get a job at the same time, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I just never had money, rather
Right.
money of my own anyway, that I could actually like save and do things with. So yeah,
Yeah.
very long-winded answer. Do you have one?
Um. Mine's a very serious answer though.
Uh,
Ugh. I'm the serious person you're not, like, when it comes to actually wanting to have these conversations, so
in front of a public audience.
who cares? Nobody's watching besides my mother.
So I say go back and take some more college classes, get your degree online. Still be. I've wanted to do a degree part time.
Yeah.
But the problem is, like, I was waiting until I was settled into my job. Then COVID happened, and then on the tail end of COVID, like, we got together, and it very quickly appeared that not very quickly, but within like a few months, I was sort of settling in and everything, and then we didn't even really get to settle in. Um, but it sort of became apparent for you that you would, well, apparent for me about you that you would probably never be able to permanently settle in the UK. And then we just hadn't had the conversation about the timescale. So, like a part-time degree here would take like 4 years,
Yeah.
and simply we might just not be here that long. So, like, credits don't transfer in the same way that they do for you guys over there.
Yeah.
So if I only did like 2 years of a part-time degree, it would be wasted,
Right.
and I wouldn't be able to finish that degree from another country. Like, yeah, it's remote learning, but not that remote.
Yeah. So, yeah. I think I would have forgiven you sooner,
Mm.
probably. And my mom's watching. My mom was there the whole day, you know, tears and all. So, you don't have to get all sad about it.
Uh,
I I've dealt with that part of that. So, I I probably would have forgiven you sooner.
mm,
It did take me a long time. Like, we were still somewhat friends. It was very on and off
yeah.
for a while after that. But yeah, the whole long distance aspect of it made it more difficult because yeah, like, you don't have to get all embarrassed about it. It happens, and we were 16. He cheated. He cheated. And yeah, so going from having that infidelity, if you will, and trying to go back to a long distance relationship and not being able to see what you're doing every day, or, I know it sounds toxic, but check your computer.
Yeah.
That was what did it for me. It was very difficult for me to completely trust you again, that you wouldn't do it again. But I think probably once I would have hit like 18, 19, I probably would have forgiven you. I should have forgiven you sooner. Because now we're 28, and that was a long time of crap for me to deal with other people. That was pointless. So,
Yeah.
hard hitting questions. The real stuff. We can't
Mm.
always be happy. We can't always be happy. My mom said something. I can't read what she said.
You all were just kids. It's water under the bridge.
Yep. So, yeah, that's the same. That's the way I feel about it. Is that, like, yeah, we were kids. It happened, and it was fine. It just wasn't the right time for us to continue our relationship. But
Yeah.
I would have forgiven you sooner. I should have, and I didn't. But it took me a lot longer than I wanted it to, because I just couldn't get past that whole long distance, being able to completely trust you to not do it again. So, that was the hard part. So we don't have to get all sad.
Mm.
He gets all emotional when we talk about this.
It took me a lot longer to come to terms with it than you did, funnily enough. Yeah.
Your turn.
That's what I'm looking at.
He wants to get off the subject. He's like, off the subject.
Kind of nowhere near as serious now. A lot of my questions don't seem that serious in comparison.
Well, you wanted me to answer that question, so.
Family aside, what is the thing you miss most about the US?
The food. The food.
I was expecting more of like a hard-hitting answer.
Like a what?
More of a hard-hitting answer. Like places and drive, and you can do that here too, though.
Drive.
I know you don't want to, because again, we've already spoke about it, but like, you could drive here, had we stayed here and you became more accustomed to the roads and how things worked and
I even
the
get
evil
nervous
there
now
is
driving that
roundabouts and stuff.
scooter.
Mm. But like actual things, like places, things like that, anything with like, you know, a
I
sentimental value of sorts or.
I miss being able to go see Granny,
Mm.
even though it's a headstone.
Yeah.
And what's really difficult for me right now is that when we move back to Texas, when I was in Texas and I took the highway, because Granny lived off the highway, that I could drive by there and I would see her house. And it was the red brick and the carport and all of that. And it just, I'm not going to cry, I promise. Um, it made me think of Granny. And there were times in my life where, what does that say?
First time chat from someone called the Humming Goth. Trump is what I miss the most.
Trump is what I, oh God, I don't know
Okay.
who that is.
Don't do that.
Might be Dakota or something, I don't know. But, being able to go see her headstone, because that was a place for me sometimes in my life when I was having a really, really hard time, that I would just go sit out there. I would like I would sit next to her headstone, or I would lay on the grass next to her, and I would, and it sounds so cliche and you know, cheesy, but I would talk to her. And it was, and where her headstone is and where the cemetery is, it's in this really beautiful place in the middle of nowhere, next to, it looks like an old church, but it's kind of like the town hall, if you will. And it just feels like there's nobody for miles. So when I needed a moment,
My freedoms. Okay.
okay, but when I needed a moment and it was just a hard time, that was the place that I would like to go. So I miss just being able to get in the car and go see her if I want to.
Someone said no, it's a church.
Hmm?
Someone said no, it's a church. Well, your mum said no, it's a church.
Okay, so it is a church,
Oh,
but
okay.
it's like a really old building, big white building, like 2 or 3 stories, and it just feels like nobody's there for miles. It's really quiet, and it's just surrounded by pastures, and nobody really comes out there that often. So there would be times that I would just go out and lay in the grass next to her
Yeah.
and just talk, because it made me feel better. And that's a big place that I miss. Just being able to see her, and it's going to be really disappointing to go by her house and it doesn't look the same. So, your turn, I guess, of like what you will miss about the UK.
Oh. Um. Like I don't see my friends in person much, but the ability to see them.
Mhm.
Um. And then same with like bit of the family. Um. In terms of places, I don't know. Greg's. Greg's isn't that good though.
I don't even know who this person is.
I don't know either. Um. But Greg's is not that good. It's okay. But in store, like the sausage rolls, they're incredibly mid. Um, there are much better places for like pastry related stuff. I
Yeah.
don't know why, like a lot of people get super excited about Greg's, and yeah, I didn't have like a Greg's sausage roll from the actual store for a really long time, and when I finally had one for the first time, it was just kind of disappointing. For the price it's 80, it's not though. Um, this is a whole tangent, but Sayers was so much better, and now like what's left of Sayers, so normally the pound bakeries are so much better. Um, and then there are other places that I've heard of that have pretty good sausage rolls. So like, I think it's called like Waterfields or something. Um, yeah, apparently they have a really good one. But no, Greg's is also like super overpriced now, like massively inflated. So yeah, you kind of can't beat Pound Bakery if you live somewhere that has one,
Yeah.
which I have no idea who this is. So if you live by a Pound Bakery and you haven't tried it for some reason, then try it. No, they don't. Okay, you're missing out then. Sorry to
So,
say.
all right, is it my turn, right?
Uh, yeah.
Okay, what scares you most about meeting my parents?
Oh, we've kind of hit a double whammy here. Um, because I've asked like the reverse of this question to you.
Oh, what is it?
I was gonna ask, are you worried about me meeting your family?
Oh,
Yeah.
so we've hit this like meeting fork here.
It's being where I'm from, the like swear words just slip out a lot, and
Oh
like
yeah,
your mum and dad might
sailors
be
here.
okay with it, but then other parts of your family aren't gonna be.
Yeah.
And I really have to put mental effort into a conversation to not just like drop f bombs as you put it. Um, yeah, I swear a lot, and again, it's just the culture we live in. You know, we don't say them to offend. It's genuinely just part of the language that we use. At least, like the further north up you go, anyway. Like people will just slip fucking swear word. There we go, swear words into random bits of conversation.
Yeah.
It just happens.
I do it too. My mom didn't like it, but
Yeah.
it is what it is.
And then there is the fact that I'm not really like super religious or anything.
Yeah.
Um, and it's a very religious place, you know.
Yeah. So, um,
Yeah.
I I think, um, I think it's just gonna be hard for you for a week with three loud women around because both or all three of us, my mom, me, and my sister, are loud. My dad is the reserved one.
That is correct. Or your mum did say nothing to be scared of. We love you. I do appreciate it. Um, yeah. I don't want to say the wrong thing.
Yeah.
But then the response after that, I don't know who this is. They do have some hard hitting points aside from the Trump comment. Cunt is also used as a term of endearment in the UK. It is.
Yeah.
Like, you're right, you cunt. Like that's just
Yeah.
that's how
I
you
had
talk to
somebody
your
ask me that
friends.
at the store, at the shop once.
Oh,
Yeah. Like when I went to the post office, that shop I was telling you about, those
yeah,
ladies that were out. Yeah, they said that, and I was like, "Excuse me."
yeah.
So, I think it's just gonna be really difficult for you with three women in the house that are extremely loud, because all three of us are loud. My dad's the quiet one. I think he'll be the one that you get along with the most because you guys, both of you, are quiet.
Probably.
But yeah, you'll be hearing three of us like trying to talk over each other because, and it just keeps getting louder. So it happens. So you might have a headache. So we're gonna need ibuprofen and paracetamol on hand at all times.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I talk a lot if a particular subject grabs me, and it doesn't mean that other topics don't interest me. It's just if I don't feel like I have a lot to say on the subject, I might be quiet. Um, if it is something I'm particularly knowledgeable or interested in, then I can talk a lot.
well, it's not that we talk a lot; it's that we talk loudly, especially my sister. So sometimes we have to go, Macy. Like, inside voice. Because sometimes she can be really loud, and then she'll be like, "Oh, okay," and then she'll start back down here, and then she'll slowly get louder and get louder. It's
Yeah.
like, Macy. So I think that's gonna be the hardest part for you that I'm worried about is that you're just like, my head is pounding and it won't stop.
I do get headaches easily.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And when I get a headache, if I don't take some form of a painkiller fairly quickly, and the headache actually sets in, it very quickly becomes a migraine.
Yeah.
Um, so just excuse me if I have to go lie down somewhere dark and quiet.
So is it gonna be my turn again or your turn,
It's
Cicely?
gonna have to because I've used up one of my questions.
You've used up all of your questions?
No, used up one because yeah.
Okay.
So if I go
Um.
next, you'll have to ask two in a row at the end anyway.
Okay. So. Um. Hmm. I've just been kind of like rambling
I
off.
just go in order, but that one
I
wasn't
don't
the
go in
next one.
order. Um. Hmm. So what do you want most in the future for us? I swear if you say children. I swear if you say
Something I'm interested in. Um, like
My mom said something
actually,
else. Hold on, I can't read it.
another thing is our straightforwardness.
Oh
Um,
yeah, she will hurt your feelings. She is. I'm the same way. We will hurt your feelings. We say it like it is, and we do not sugarcoat it.
I'm fairly used to it because we are like that here. Um, just a bit reserved. Um, but yeah, what's the question again?
What do you want most of the future?
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I'm interested in having kids. You know that, though. Your mum knows that. Your mum wants you to.
Oh my
But,
God, she's pressuring me.
but, peace of mind. Wait, I've already forgotten the question again because we keep. What do you
Future.
want in the future? Peace of mind. Yeah, yeah. Well, we kind of
Peace of
already do.
mind.
We kind of already do now. Um, Probably like what I'm most looking forward to is eventually like owning a house or something, like not being subject to the whims of like landlords. Um, because yeah, that sucks. The fact that they can just decide on a whim to, you know, do whatever. So this person still hasn't said who they are, but I have just noticed they've got a picture of Limmy as their profile picture. So that points me towards it being someone I know. But I don't know.
Hmm.
Yeah, I know a few
Well, they're
people
talking
who
about
like Lemmy,
Greg, so
and that's asking a man this question and expecting him to reply. You don't know me. I'm just a random. Oh, okay.
okay.
Um, Asking a man this question and expecting him to reply is like asking him to move the earth. We are bad at this shit. But I do think a genuine enough answer is to say that like I'm looking forward to owning a place and having a place together,
Yeah.
like that we can truly settle in, bar any like natural disasters. Um, yeah.
I just hope for more cats.
Uh,
I want cats.
I like cats. Yeah.
Well, no, I like the idea of owning a tiny home and just being able to really settle in a place that I'm already comfortable, but that I think you will end up eventually being comfortable with as well. It's
Yeah.
very where we live is very slow paced with our neighborhood. It's not like here where you hear absolutely everything from your neighbors. You know, it's, cars and alarms, and it's a very peaceful, just quiet place. And I like the fact of being able to own a home and be that close to my parents, which is shocking because me and my parents didn't get along for a long time and now we do. So yeah, being able to own a home and
Your mum said I'll have a support system. And then this person said a woman will say 100 reasons why, and a man will just say you. Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
yeah, I like the idea of being able to own a home and be that close to my parents and my sister if she chooses to stay. And yeah, being able to be in a quiet place that I think you will like eventually. I know you have reservations. I had reservations moving here as
yeah. I know
well.
you did.
But, I think with the support system and being able to build healthy relationships with other people, that will be better.
Yeah. Sit out on the porch and hear the crickets will be nice.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can just sit outside and hear absolutely nothing. You might
unless
hear
it's
an
too hot.
ambulance every now and then because most of the people that live around us are elderly and they've done fallen and broken a hip or something.
No, but again, unless it's too hot.
Well,
Which I feel like a lot of the time, for a long time, it's gonna be too hot. And even for
but
you
we have
now.
air conditioner.
Yeah, I know, but not outside.
Well, yeah, but I
Can't
mean, like,
condition the air of the planet. Um, but yeah, I think you're gonna struggle with the temperature when we move back
oh yeah,
because we
definitely.
get a slightly warm day here now, and you're the one who's more vocal about it than
Oh
I
yeah, and I'll
am. And
turn the air conditioner right
exactly,
towards me.
yeah.
Yep. Forget you. I want the air conditioner.
Oh, you just have the rumble of SpaceX.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's SpaceX. Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. All right, we only have like 6 minutes, so what's your last
Oh,
one?
I still had several.
Okay, we'll pick one.
That was just a very general. Do you think we've changed for the better over the years?
Hmm. Yeah, I think you have, and I've definitely grown in some ways. But there are things that like I sometimes think you need from me that I can't quite give you, like more time and affection and
Yeah,
stuff. Because you are very affectionate, you are very like in my space, and
it's
sometimes
one way to put it. Yeah,
well you are. Sometimes you
yeah.
are really in my space. Um, but sometimes I just
Should climatize after like 3 weeks or so. I don't know, because I've always loved the cold, even before the UK got super cold. Because we've got colder over like the past 10 years or
yeah.
more. Even from a super young age. I hated even the mild summers that we had. I don't know why.
But yeah, so like especially like the affection and the time and stuff, I feel like it's just something that won't change too much from about me because I do like having my own space, doing my own thing, breathing my own air. Like
Yeah.
and yeah, like I do think that there have been ways that I've grown and matured and made better decisions,
Yeah.
but there are just some things about me that are like kind of set in stone, really. But I think yeah, you've grown for the better. It took me a long time for you like for me to basically try to build you a spine. Sorry.
It was only because of like the living
Yeah,
situation
I know.
there, to be honest.
I know.
Like,
But those were things that really
yeah,
did affect me because I felt like I was on my own in that battle a lot. And I think at points you just got so tired of arguing about it that you let it go and it would never get better. So I felt like in that aspect of being able to defend but also kind of like protect, you might have fallen a tiny bit short with it. So it took me a while to tell you I need that from you because I can't always be the one with the bat, like making sure nobody's breaking into our house. Like
that kind of stuff I'm totally fine with. It
I
it
feel
was
like
a
I'm gonna be the
very
one with the bat.
it was a very unique situation like the living situation where like I always had a spine. It's just if I were to show it too much, it would have compromised our living situation a lot sooner.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, in my way, because yeah, I didn't really show it, but like it was having a huge impact on me.
Yeah.
But me swallowing all that shit was me trying to protect us.
Yeah.
And when it wasn't necessarily that you like gave me a spine, it's the when I realised it was done for. Um, like yeah, I kind of just let loose,
Yeah.
and everything that had built up sort of came out. But yeah, it was purely me trying to keep the peace.
Yeah.
So
I
that
get it.
yeah,
I totally and completely get it because I did what I could trying to keep peace, but I just kept getting pushed to the edge.
so did I.
So
I really did.
I felt like at points that it wasn't my place to say things, but I felt like it was yours, especially with some of the things that I had to talk to you about and tell you about that were happening that you weren't seeing
Yeah,
because you were away, like you were at work or whatever. We weren't, you weren't downstairs with me. So, yeah, I felt like at some points I wanted you to say something, and that's where I wanted you to grow a little bit. And other
it's
than
only because though I already knew the exact sequence of events that would occur if I did
yeah,
say
I know.
something,
I get it.
and like we were not prepared.
Yeah. Yeah, we
We
were not
weren't
prepared.
prepared. So
We weren't
yeah,
ready.
I acknowledge the circumstances where I should have said more sooner.
Yeah.
Um, but again, to me, that wasn't not having a spine.
Okay,
It
so with the
was
spine thing, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said it like that. It was my bad. So, I mean, just like trying to encourage you to be more vocal and stand up for yourself and for me.
I knew that it never would have changed anything.
Yeah.
Um, and that standing up and being vocal to defend myself and to defend you would have been the final action.
Yeah.
And it was. And
Mhm.
I knew it was. And eventually, again, believe me, I didn't talk about it much because you were already feeling awful about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to jump on the bandwagon and make you feel more negative about the things that you were experiencing. But the entire time, I was anxious, I was annoyed, I was angry, I was upset, and I just kind of stonewalled it
Yeah.
because I knew the moment I did actually stand up for us in that specific situation we were in. Because with anything else, I will stand up for us no matter what.
Yeah.
But in that specific situation, I knew the moment
My
I
my
did, it was over.
biggest
What did your mum say, by the way?
yeah, she was talking about self preservation.
Yeah.
I think what I was afraid of if we didn't correct that situation was that it would start to build this divide between us of me being like something should be said, something should be done, and you're not meeting my standard of that somewhat. Like I don't really know how else to put that, but like
I get it.
you're not doing it. So I
But
felt
if we
like
had a place to go
yeah.
immediately, then I'd have had no qualms.
Yeah, I was just worried that it would cause a divide.
I know,
And then
but
it'd be like a rift in our relationship, and I wouldn't be happy, and then I would give in and I would go home because I would just get so tired of dealing with it. So
I just
that's
I didn't want to end up homeless and having to send you back anyway.
well, yeah,
Is the point?
yeah. No, I get it. Like, I didn't want to either.
we had no solid plan B
Yeah.
because everything was taking so long to organise. And yeah, it really was. That's the thing. It wasn't just self-preservation. It was preservation for the both of us
Yeah.
because if I had to have sent you back, there were probably more options for places for me to go by myself.
Yeah.
But it's obviously putting people out a lot more to take in a couple rather than just taking the one person that they know.
Yeah.
And you kind of can't blame people for that.
Right.
It's difficult having one extra person in your living space, never mind two. So I knew that if you weren't there, I could have like escaped. Let's put it that way. Um, but I didn't want you to go. And
Yeah.
I was just trying my best to hang on to the hope of like, okay, this seems to be progressing, and we might be able to get a place within the next few weeks, and then things would fall through and fucking bureaucratic nonsense. But yeah, I get what you needed,
Yeah.
and I wanted to do that. And when it became clear that it was gonna go anyway, like, I feel like I stuck up for us at the moments that mattered.
Yeah.
And yeah, you needed more, and that's totally valid. But the only reason I couldn't bring myself to do it is because it literally felt like shooting both of us in the feet.
I just think
Saying a single word would have been shooting the both of us in the feet.
I just feel like it was purposeful. It was the goal, like, for them, was to create that divide, like, between us,
Yeah,
so that I would go home, you would stay, and it would just fizzle. And that's where I had like a lot of worries with it too. So I was like, I feel like this is being done to us on purpose for a specific reason and end goal for them.
yeah,
So that was my biggest problem, was that I felt like if we both like stood up together and was like, I'm not going to deal with this and you need to understand that, it would have kind of bridged the divide and been like, oh, they're together on this. This is like united front kind of thing. Like, we're not going to waver. But I feel like
oh,
because I was a certain way and trying to express that I didn't want to deal with that type of behavior, and you were very quiet.
but there were already a couple of smaller situations where we did sort of stand together on things,
Yeah.
and it never changed anything.
Yeah.
And that was it for me. It felt futile, and it was already a hostile enough situation that doing anything like that wouldn't have fixed anything. I
Right.
don't think anything in the universe could have fixed that situation.
No.
It would have either just been a more hostile environment, and then we could have ended up even more divided, or it would have all came to a head sooner
Yeah.
when we were less prepared. Um, so yeah.
Yeah.
I understand your side. I hope you understand mine.
Yeah, no, I understand yours. I totally
Yeah.
get it. I totally get what you did. And like, I'm not faulting you
Yeah.
for it at all. Like, I'm just I was just expressing like how I felt. Like,
No, no.
considering that like I moved and I didn't want to create a divide between you and I
Hmm.
for someone else that had a different agenda.
Yeah.
It was purposefully trying to create that divide. So, that was just kind of how I felt, and especially when I first got here and like being in a totally new, like, different country, not knowing anything about how the government could work or help me or how to get home or like anything like that. It was very scary
Yeah.
being in that type of situation and not knowing where to go or what to do. So, but yeah, that was a really hard hitting question. That
Yeah.
was like a lot.
What did you want to say something
That's the
else?
part of the podcast, Mom. That's part of the podcast where we sit here and we talk about old experiences. That's the part of the podcast. That's why we do this. It's
Yeah,
a nice
I'm
therapy.
totally over it at this point. I just felt like I needed to say my piece about why I did it, because I know I'm a non-confrontational person,
Oh yeah.
but I'm confrontational when it's important. And the only reason I wasn't confrontational when you deemed it important, and I did understand the importance already at the time, but it was my misguided attempt of trying to protect us for a bit longer
Yeah.
until there was like, this platform was like crumbling and we were waiting for another one to come up to jump across to it.
Yeah.
It was that kind of situation.
Well, like
I was trying to hold those pieces together until we were ready to jump,
I'm all for
basically.
confrontation. I get that from my mother.
But again, no, I am.
She's confrontational too.
I am
So.
when it matters. And I'm more than willing to be like, I guess, jokingly confrontational.
Yeah.
Because, like, I get very confrontational with my friends and they do with me. But it's never, like, serious. As that guy pointed out before, I've said some truly horrible words to my friends.
Yeah.
And they to me. But it's, like, it's all in jest.
We're just like, me and my mom are just confrontational people. We say it like it is, and we don't let people run over us. And that's why sometimes we butt heads, because we're confrontational towards each other, rather than, like, one of us being, I don't like confrontation, and the other one being like, I like confrontation. So, yeah, so that's why we don't get along sometimes.
Yeah.
But we've learned to communicate better, so, you know. But yeah, so we're 9 minutes over. Um, I'm calming down in my old age. Yeah, so we're 10 minutes over. I think that's it. I think that's gonna be the podcast for today. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
same thing as always. You can subscribe to us for free. Well, as long as you haven't subscribed to anybody else. One free subscription with Amazon Prime, and we'll probably put a poll on there for people to vote. I think we had talked about maybe or maybe not doing a poll, and that we might just talk about movies next week.
Yeah.
Like our favorite movies, categories, discussing them and stuff like that. So I think that might be next week's topic, but
That'll be fun.
we'll talk about it some more.
Yeah.
But yeah, so same time next week. 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, and then technically Saturday midnight for British Summer Time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And shout out to the random dude who likes Limmy, because that is a quality choice and comedian. And highly recommended.
Alright, guys. We will see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Guys.